Hola, bienvenidos a Lightspeed Spanish. Well, today we're doing something very special. We're here with Mike Gardner, and we're going to talk all about El Camino de Santiago. So, Mike, how are you? Are you okay?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm a bit fatter than I was a few months ago. I lost 7 kilos. I put it
W-
all back on again now.
During the Camino, you lost 7 kilos.
Between starting training and finishing, yeah, 7 kilos, yeah.
Wow, wow. Okay. So, Mike, I'll just sort of bounce some questions off you so
Sure.
people understand what's going on. You live in Spain, yes?
Yes, I live near Segovia.
That's right, yeah. And you've done El Camino twice now, is that
Yes, 2018. And then this last spring just gone. Yeah, in
right?
honor of my late wife, Leslie.
Okay, okay, beautiful. And during how much time have you done the Camino? What was your walking time?
Oh, pretty much the same both times, 35 days, which is kind of average. It's not a race, as you know. It's
Sure,
kind of that's kind of average for somebody. I trained hard for it as well.
sh-
35 days each time.
I can imagine. And was it the same route each time, or did you
Yeah,
do
exactly. The French route.
the French route? Yeah.
Yes.
So is that the French route? Have you done the entire route?
Yes. You start in
Yeah.
France in Saint-Jean-de-Pied-de-Port, walk over the Pyrenees, through mountain ranges, over rivers, castles, some of the most beautiful cities in Spain, in the world, Logroño, Burgos, the most beautiful cathedral in the world. Yeah, so I did the same route twice. I loved it so much the first time. I might do another one next year, and I'm going to do the North route, which goes right across the Atlantic. It's very, very beautiful, but very, very quiet,
Uh-huh.
much quieter.
Okay, okay. What's the, I mean, there's so many questions I want to ask you, but what's the feeling that you get when you do the Camino?
Oh, that's easy. It's in your heart. The Camino is magical. I mean, I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I think, but it's not just a Christian pilgrimage. People from any denomination or non-believers are very welcome. They'll all be received exactly the same. But I believe the Camino concentrates people. It concentrates God's love. It makes you a better person. You meet amazing people. Wonderful things happen to you. The book I wrote in 2018 is called Miracles on the Camino. And some things happen to me which are just literally miracles. I mean, I've got loads of stories. If you want me to tell you one, I can tell you. You want to leave it till later on? It's up to you.
Tell us a miracle story.
Well, how about this? So, this is the condensed version. I walk into Lyon Cathedral. I'm meant to be meeting a Russian guy called Kazim. He wasn't there. I get a tap on the shoulder, and I was writing a blog every day, so people did occasionally recognize me. And this lady says to me, "You, Mike, that writes those cool blogs?" And I said, "Well, it could be me." So she said to me, "I want you to write my story of how God has saved my life." So the condensed version is this: she's a Christian. She'd been believed in God all her life, but she was always unhappy. Her life had been destroyed by mental health issues.
Uh-huh.
She tried to kill herself. She said to me when she was 8 years old, she went into the garage and tried to swallow a bottle of fertilizer. So she was troubled by this deep blackness inside her. So she came on the Camino. She said, "Mike, I want to meet a priest. God's waiting for me. I need him to get rid of this blackness that's inside me." She was crying. She was overwhelmed with joy because of what had happened to the day before. So she walked all the way to Lyon. She hadn't found God. She hadn't found a priest. Her life was empty. She was ready to give up. She goes, so she's ready to fly back to where she's from. She's given me permission to tell this story, by the way, so don't worry about that. She says she goes into a tattoo studio. She gets a tattoo on her arm of a family and to represent a family. And then she's told me, burst into tears, as soon as the tattoo needle came off her arm, she said there was this massive explosion in her head and this brightness, and she just described it as God came inside me. I'm going to get upset in a minute. He ripped all this blackness from me and he took it away and it's gone forever. I'm never going to want to do that to myself again. So she said to me, "You tell my story because the Camino can change people's lives." And I'm in touch with her every year, 2 or 3 times we send messages, and she's still good. She's still got God inside her. What a story, Gordon.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. A question for you because I know you speak Spanish. What's the universal language on El Camino?
Well, it's really English. People don't have to worry. It's mainly English.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, and the percentages are, I think it's like 40% of people are Spanish, but the next language is English. So no one has to worry about that. If you want to do it and you're English speaking, you'll have no difficulty anywhere. Banks, albergues, restaurants, everywhere, everyone speaks English, really. They're used to it. There's
Okay.
thousands, I think, is it 300,000 people a year? Something like that. So the whole journey is covered by people used to speaking English with pilgrims.
Yeah. Yeah. And can I ask like a detailed question about I've thought about the Camino, the implications of it, obviously taking time, 35 days is a long investment of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But in terms of investment of cost, what just as a general, what would that
No, see,
cost?
see. Sure. Okay, so there are several ways of doing it, Gordon. It depends on your own fitness, your own age, what you want to do. There's something that people refer to as the traditional way, which I'm not comfortable with. But it basically says, do it in the old-fashioned way, carry your bag, don't get taxis, stay in albergues. You can do whatever you want.
Sure.
Let's get that straight out. You can do it however you want to do it. But to answer your question and more specifically, so your costs are, you've got to get to France if you're going to do the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
Albergues are between 10 and 15 euros, sort of £89 to £13 a night for a bed, which you'll share between two and literally 100 people. And
Okay.
that's quite an experience. It's where you make friends. And then they have a thing called the pilgrim menu, which is 15 euros, round about £12. And that's like 3 courses of very nutritional food. It's very simple, egg and chips and salad and things like that. So I'd say the costs are, apart from setting up, buying your stuff because you need to buy things,
Yeah.
a decent bag and shoes and things like that. It would be probably about €30 a day, something of that order.
It's not
Not
bad.
a lot.
That's not
Not,
bad.
well, it changes your life, Gordon.
Sure.
It's not. It doesn't cost anything because it changes your life. And
Sure.
everyone says the same thing. It's not just me.
I've talked to a number of people who've done El Camino, and all of them. I remember talking to a guy who said, I went there an atheist and I came back a believer.
Yeah, I bet. That's common. That's common. I mean, it's like, can I just quickly tell you a story that I think is relevant to that? So I'm going to tell you something that's literally one of the greatest days of my life. I'll condense it again. So I'm
Uh-huh.
walking past the Grogno and I see a group of women, and behind them is this great big bull that I'm sure you're familiar with. I think they were built 50, 60 years ago to advertise.
Yeah.
Was it sherry? I can't remember anyway.
El,
So
el, el Toro Osborne, no? That's what.
that's it,
Yeah.
exactly. So there's these group of ladies, there's about 10 of them, and they're trying to take this selfie. So I said to them, can I help you? And I realized something wasn't quite right. And then I took the selfie, and basically I realized they were deaf and dumb. They couldn't speak and they couldn't hear.
Okay.
There's one person with them that was still had this problem, but she could speak and hear better. So she thanked me. I was like a tiny bit uncomfortable about it, and I walked on. And then I felt really guilty because I would normally speak to them and talk to them. I just didn't. I don't know what it was. I just felt a bit intimidated by it. I was a bit upset. So I walked on for a couple of hours. I then met someone that's part of my pilgrim family called Tony, this amazing, charismatic Irishman. And so we sat down at a restaurant, and he's like such good fun. He's literally charismatic. He's talkative. He's interesting. He cares about people. He's one of the greatest people I've ever met. And then these ladies come and they sit round a table near us. And I said, I remember they were from Ireland, and he's from Ireland. So I said to him, "Oh, there's some people I met a couple of hours ago. They're from Ireland. They're deaf and dumb." I said I felt a bit bad because I didn't really speak to them, and he was off. There's a picture of it that I've sent you, Gordon. He was off, and he was like, "Oh, there was so much love from him," and he just went around hugging them, kissing them. Works out that one of them lives near him, someone else married someone he knew. That's what's like when you're from Dublin. Man. It was such a beautiful moment. It lasted for 45 minutes. Excuse me. And it was just the love between this man and these people. It was just so, and it would only happen there. It couldn't happen anywhere else.
Sure.
sorry, I digress. That's another story about trying to get across to you the warmth, the uniqueness of it. It's like nowhere else on earth.
Yeah,
Sorry, I get upset when I tell that story, but
that's
it's very
okay.
real to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can feel it. So what about training? How do you get ready for something like this? Walking for
Right.
35 days.
There's plenty of training programs out there, Gordon. YouTube's full of them. It's fairly basic, but one thing that people don't think about, you can't train to walk 20, 30 kilometers a day, really. You can do your best to help it, and you need to train unless you're like 25, very, very fit person. You do need to train and take it seriously. You need to buy the right shoes. But the one thing people don't realize is you cannot replicate the Camino because you can go and walk the same distance, but you're not walking across, first of all, some of the most beautiful scenery in the whole world. You're not walking across mountains, rivers, scenery. I did it in the summer, and this whole the fields are full of poppies and yellow flowers. And then you've got this great family with you that you're walking with. You're moving across, and you see people from all over the world. So it's kind of hard to replicate that. It's a lot easier than you think it is. Look, I was 73 the week I came back, and I did it. I got a few blisters, but didn't really have any physical problems. So if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, fantastic, eh? At 73 doing that. I remember reading your book and you were writing about the dreaded blister and how
Oh yeah, I got.
it can make people have to go home sometimes to
Oh,
come.
absolutely does. People, you can get it badly, and there's a lot of YouTube videos that tell you how to control them. I got them bad twice, but this is again. People might think I'm crazy, but it's true. I got bad blisters and a lot of back problems last time. And do you know something, Gordon? This is absolutely true. As soon as I got up in the morning and my blisters were sore, my back was sore, and as soon as I put my shoes on and my bag on, they just went. It's just like that. I think it's the power of up there.
Okay.
And I had no pain. As soon as I stopped, pain came. As soon as I carried on, it had gone again. So I had some help. That's what I think anyway. I
Yeah,
choose to think that.
for sure, for sure. I've heard lots of people talk about these kind of things beyond the normal, let's say,
Yeah, absolutely.
beyond the normal. What about I mean, you make friends as you go, and I know in your book you kind of you make friends and then you separate and then you meet
Yeah,
some new people
exactly.
and you separate and
Exactly.
that, yeah. How many interactions might you have had across the 35 days?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Like with walkers?
10 a day, something like that. 10 or 15 a day.
Really, that many?
Yeah, but see, let me give you an example. I don't know if you agree with me. This might more likely to happen in Spain. It certainly won't happen in England where I lived. If you go and sit in a restaurant outside, if you get good weather in England and it's sunny and there's 10 chairs and 10 tables, or 15 chairs, 10 tables, you're probably just going to get your order. You're going to sit there with your own friend and you're going to talk about whatever you want. Then you get on go. That doesn't happen in the Camino.
No.
Everyone, well, where are you from? You got any blisters? Oh, what? I believe there's a cathedral around the corner that's supposed to be really nice. Why are you doing it? And it's just a family and it's unique. So it's
Sure.
just you just talk to everybody. I'm a very bubbly person, but there's still a place for people who are more quiet because
Sure.
bubbly people will speak to you and make the first move.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And so the Camino, who did the first one? Do you know? Like, where does it come from? Why
Oh,
just
well, look,
exist?
I'm not an expert on it. Right. I'll try and tell you if I may. So, the purpose of the Camino is you arrive in Santiago where the bones of St. James are held.
Mhm.
And St. James is the patron saint of Spain. If I've got this wrong, forgive me. This is how I understand it.
Okay.
He had a massive role to play in Jesus' life, and he brought Christianity to Spain. And so is this iconic figure. So going back, I think it was sort of started around about the 10th century, something like that. And people started. Well, a lot more people walked it then, by the way, than now. In the medieval times, 15th century, there was 5, 6, 7 times more people. Millions
Really?
of people would do it every year. They were very, very devout and pious.
Oh,
So it started, I think, around about the 10th century. I stand to be corrected.
wow.
But
Okay.
there's
Well,
it almost died, Gordon, up until 20 years ago, and then the thing that I believe resurrected it to monumental proportions of people now was a film called The Way. You may be familiar with
I
it.
know the film was
It's
beautiful.
quite a
Yeah.
famous film, and it's beautifully filmed. It's beautifully acted, and it tells the story of a man whose son dies, and he walks across the Camino and finds a new life. And that was such a big success. It created this interest in the Camino. It's just
Sure.
taken off now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember seeing that film, and that was when I thought, oh, I think I'd like to do that.
You
He did the
should.
French route, didn't he, as well in the film? He did the French.
Sorry, Gordon.
He in the film he came across the from France,
Yes,
the same,
exactly.
did the
Yes,
French route. Yeah.
that's he did the same route, the most common. Yes, that's the most
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, there are a couple of things I know. I want to come back to your book because you've got a beautiful book that you wrote from your
Thank
first
you.
experience, and I know you've offered that if some of the audience want to read it, then they can. And it's really nice because you also talk about the way that you're learning Spanish as you went and learning
Yeah, yeah.
words and stuff. So it's got a lot of things that are
Thank
interesting.
you.
We'll talk about that after. But why don't we look at some of the photos that you've sent me?
Oh, sure,
You can talk
absolutely.
us through then, yeah?
Sure, yeah.
All right, I'm just going to share the screen and then hopefully you should see the photo as well. Right. Are you
Oh,
able to
I
see
see
it?
that. Right, okay.
So tell us
Yeah.
about this.
Okay, that's the Hill of Forgiveness. And so the story about that, I sent you some pictures that might remind me of magical moments. So I did the Camino Garden in memory of my beautiful wife, who died at the age of 64 in January, and it was a massive help to me. And so because I'm religious, I was constantly looking for priests to say a prayer for her.
Uh-huh.
So I'm walking towards the Hill of Forgiveness. I see a hat on the floor, and it was dry. Someone had obviously dropped it earlier that morning. I picked the hat up, thought nothing of it. I arrived at the Hill of Forgiveness, took a few pictures, and then there was 8 or 9 people there. I held the hat up and said, "Is this anyone's hat?" In English, I did say it. And this
Uh-huh.
man puts his hand up and he said, "That's mine," in broken English. And it works out that he was a priest from Brazil and walking his pilgrimage to try and help people. And he thanked me for his hat. And I told him about my wife, and he said to me he was going to pray for her. He said he knew for a fact that she was in heaven. And he said that he then gave me a crucifix, rosary beads. He
Mhm.
blessed the rosary beads, and then he gave me a poem. It was in Brazilian, not much use to me, and it's apparently by the most important saint in Brazilian history. I've written this down. It's Santa Dulce dos Probes, and apparently it's a lovely prayer to God. So that's what that picture means to me. It signifies a chance meeting with a priest that said he was going to go to Santiago and pray for my wife's soul, and that she's definitely in heaven. He told me for a fact.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, let's move on to the next one. I'll just open this up a
That's
little.
it. That's the crucifix, and that's the patron saint of
Ah,
Brazil. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Now that was good. They come together. I mean,
Very
it's just a
good.
magical moment. Where's that going to happen, Gordon? Skeptics
Sure.
will say, "Oh, it's just coincidence." I don't think so. These things are meant to happen.
Sure. Well, they do say there's no such thing as coincidence.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
they do.
all right, let's have a look at this one then.
Well, that's just, I think, one of my favourite photographs. It's where I met this Irish guy. It's where I met a New Zealand lady who was quite a big part of she's called Elaine. She was sort of part of my family. And I just thought it was a very beautiful picture. It's because I'm not a professional photographer, but I have an interest in it. And twilight and the Camino, where the natural lights are coming on, you've still got the dying sunset in the distance. So that's kind of just strikes me as a very pretty picture.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. All right, so
No, I'm glad you've shown this. So this is the story I've told you about the Irish guy. So the guy at the back he's a bit overweight. He's got his arm around the shoulder of one of these deaf and dumb ladies. They're all there. All those people there are deaf and dumb. And
okay.
it's just a moment of magic to see the love that was bouncing around everywhere. And I'll remember it forever, Gordon. Beautiful picture.
Oh, lovely. And this is the guy.
This is the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name?
Tony.
Tony.
Tony from Ireland, fantastic guy.
Okay, lovely.
Again, this is just, I just thought, again, it's just a nice picture, Gordon. There's no real particular meaning to it.
Sure.
I tried to walk out at night, which was very late. Sunset was like 10 o'clock because it was in April, May. And I just remember thinking that was a nice picture. So there's no real particular story to that.
Sure. It's very beautiful, eh? What about this one?
All right. So this is mainly my family. And it's just, I had two or three families. So they're from all over the world. They're from Canada, New Zealand, I think Belgium, America. And it's just us having a coffee together, and we thought we'd take our picture. So that's like the epitome of the warmth, the friendship. I'm still in touch with them all, not overly. It starts off where it's every week. It'll end
Sure.
up being 3 or 4 times a year, Gordon.
Of course, that's the way it
And that's
happens,
just the
isn't
way
it?
it works. Yeah, they get on with their
Sure.
lives, but there'll always be all those people there have a special place in my heart.
So
For sure.
a question for you. What constitutes a member of your family? How do they become your family?
You just feel it, Gordon. It's just anyone that you spend more. It can be someone you just spend one day with, and they may make a big impact on you. It can be someone you might spend 35 days with. It's hard to define. You just know it. They
Okay.
basically just the people tell you they love you. You've known them 4 or 5 hours. They've told you their life story, why they're there, the pain they may be going through. It's not all about that, of course. Some people just want to do it as a physical challenge, but people open up, and it's moving, and it's just when you share your innermost secrets with someone, which we do all the time. It's like having like 30 psychiatrists on hand because they
Sure.
always seem to say the right things. I
Sure.
hope that helps to answer that.
Yeah, yeah, it does indeed. Yeah. Okay.
Now this is the story, right? This is one of my favorite stories, right? So I'm walking along. This is what happens to you if you make friends. So I'm walking behind a group of about 10 Spanish women, youngish middle-aged women, 30 or 40, and they're all laughing. You know that Spanish is like God, and everyone's talking, no one's listening, right? Anyway, my Spanish is okay, thanks to you, my friend. I was listening to you this morning explaining direct object pronouns. I was taking the dog for a walk.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're in my life more than you think. Right. So I started talking to them. Hola, buenos dias, ¿cómo estás? Just usual stuff. And then we walked along for a few minutes. And this lady here is a picture of. Um, her name was Marta. They were from the Tenerife. And
Okay.
she said, "Can I speak English with you?" I said, "Yes, of course you can." She said, "I'm looking for an English husband." And I said to her, "Estoy disponible," right? I'm available, right? So she said, "Right, let's get married." So I said, "Sí, por supuesto." And all the friends started clapping. It was just so funny. We walked on for a few minutes. I was actually thinking to myself, I wonder if there's some ancient Spanish law that means we actually are engaged. Anyway, we walked on for a few minutes, and then she said, "Oh, Miguel, I have to tell you something." She said, I said, "What's that?" Because you know I'm a lot older than you, obviously. She said, "Yes, that's the idea. I want us to get married, and then I want you to die so I can get all your money." And then everyone just absolutely threw about laughing. And then we just give each other a hug. That there, we all hugged each other, the 10 of us, went Camino, and they walked off, and I never saw her again. Just a nice, and things like that happen every day, Gordon.
Sure.
That's just one of the 50 stories I could share with you.
Sure. How lovely. How lovely. And she looks like a very happy lady.
She's hot, isn't she?
Absolutely. Yeah. You would have done well to just stay there and remain with her. No,
I
why
like
you
any
let it
old dog
go?
yet, Gordon.
Why did you let it go? Okay.
Now this again. I don't want to get into too much detail. It's just another Camino moment. So the guy on the left called Adrian. The lady second left is called Salem. She's an actress from America. There's me and the lady from New Zealand. And again, it's just I could go into their stories, but probably I've done that enough already. It's just a Camino moment. That's Leon Cathedral, which is absolutely spectacular. The Camino, Gordon, the French way, goes through so many amazing places. So that's really, again, it's just a Camino family.
Okay.
It's just dear to my heart, and all the people on the picture are very special to me.
Beautiful.
Oh, now that again is just my favorite picture. That's in, I never pronounced this right. Is it O Cerebro? not sure if I've said that right. It's
don't-
right high up in Galicia. It's your first visit to Galicia. And I just thought that was a spectacular sunset that, again, I'm just quite pleased of as a photograph.
Sure,
Just a nice magical moment.
sure. And this is
That's yours
interesting. What is
truly.
going on here?
That's yours truly again. Now that's in, what's the name of it? It's a town. Oh, I'm so annoyed I can't think of it. It's towards the end and it's very famous for pulpo, for octopus. So I'm in the restaurant. It's garden. Soy tikis mikis con la comida. ¿Me entiendes?
Te entiendo perfectamente.
Yeah, so I'm very, very finicky with food. I'm not eating no pulpo. I'm telling you now. I was having egg and chips, and this man was sat next to me, and he just said, "Do you want to put all my pilgrim clothes on?" I think he worked for the restaurant, drumming up trade. So that's the idea of that. I just can't think of the place. It's near Saria. Very, very beautiful place. So that's just a nice memory for me. I look a bit dopey, don't I?
You look very serious.
Yeah.
You're just about to do something very formal.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly. Well, again, well, that's me with the same people that were in the other picture gardens from. That's my family. The iconic picture in front of the cathedral, not taken with landscape. Someone else did it. They did it upright, and the light was just starting to fade. The sun was just going down. So I've got that actually framed, and it's in my bedroom. So all those people are very dear to me.
So this is the end of the line, yeah? This is the end of
Santiago.
the
That's Compostela that's Santiago de Compostela, which is a magnificent church. Magical time. I mean, again, Jordan, just a quick one. Another thing, just a quick question. Is that okay if I just, quick explanation? Right. So a few days before that, I met a lady from Los Angeles. She was about 30. And she was with her mother. Her mother was limping. Her mother was really not well. I spent a couple of hours with them, chatting away. They were very interesting. Then we had a meal together. Then they waved goodbye. I never saw them again. Happens all the time. Still remember them. And then a couple of hours after that picture was taken, they come up to me, and her mother was really, really ill. She could hardly walk. And they said to me, "Oh, Mike, what should we do? My mum's really ill. I don't know what to do. We're trying to find a doctor." Because I live in Spain, I said to them, "You don't do that. You need to go to urgencias." So basically, took them to a taxi, managed to explain to the taxi driver what had happened, and they waved them off, and he took them away, and that was the end of it. And then later on that day, we swapped emails, which happens a lot. When you meet someone, you quite often go on WhatsApp or something, so you keep in touch with each other. Later on that day, she sent me a message, how grateful they were to me. I don't know why, because anyone would have done it, because they'd gone to the hospital. She had quite a serious injury to her leg, which they treated. They'd given her, they'd strapped it up, told her to go and see someone when they go back to America, give her painkillers and these special anti-inflammatory things. And they were so pleased with the Spanish healthcare system. And they kept saying to me, "We would never have been able to do it without you," which is nonsense. Someone else would have helped them, of course. Sorry, I digress. That's just
Okay, and I don't know if let's see if we've got. Hang on, I'm just going to share again. Okay.
Right. Okay. This is quite a story, Gordon. And actually, if anyone's planning to do the Camino, you might want to do this. Right. So what's happening here is the shell. Is it concha? Is that right?
La concha.
La concha. Yeah. So the shell is the image of the Camino. It's everywhere, and the shell is a magical thing. So what I decided to do, because I'd done this before, I got about 15, 16 shells. They're about €2 each. I had a friend in Santiago, an English-speaking American friend, who had a friend who was a priest. This is the guy here, a priest in Santiago, the cathedral. So she arranged for me to see him. So I went to communion, and then he was waiting for me outside the church, and I asked him if he'd blessed these shells. And so I got the shells, he blessed them for me, put holy water on them. When I got home, I wrote messages for all the dear ones in my life, basically saying, que Dios te bendiga, I wrote on them, I think. God bless you, with a kiss from me. And because I've got this picture and all blessed by a priest in the cathedral, obviously it's not just like going in a shop and buying a shell. In fact, they've been blessed. People, especially church-going people, religious people, will think there's some sort of power to it. And when every time I give them, especially a Spanish person, they were so pleased. And I just showed them this picture to prove to them that they've been blessed. So yeah, that's that
Yeah.
story. Quite an interesting story, I think.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Well, that's the photos that you sent me, so that's really good. I wanted to mention a couple of things. First of all, so you wrote this book, which is a
Yeah.
beautiful read. And
Thank you, Gordon.
I still revisit it when I'm flying, actually, quite often
Yeah.
because you haven't got any other material, So I just get your book out and I read, a little bit of because
Oh, cool.
yeah. You were saying to me before that if anyone wanted to read the book, they'd be welcome to have it. Yeah, like a
Absolutely. It's a
PDF. Yeah.
PDF. Yeah, I can send it. Send me your email or however you want to do it, and I'll send them a PDF, and they'll just download it, read it on the PC, iPad, or more likely on their smartphone. Just
Sure. Yeah.
downloads. It's 60,000 words. You can read it in 6 or 7 hours.
Okay.
It's a nice story of magical things.
It is. It is quite
So I'd be
moving.
delighted to send that to anybody. Anyone that wants it, will
Would you,
sort it.
you tell me, are you comfortable if I put your email in
Yeah,
the video?
absolutely.
I
Just
put it in
direct me.
the video
Absolutely.
information, and then
Yeah,
people can just write directly to you, and you can send it to them. Yeah.
absolutely. Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do that right away.
And also, you've got a channel because you do kind of tours of cities, and you make these incredibly high definition documentaries, with of
No,
all
thank you,
the
Gordon.
beautiful cities. Yeah. So you've got a channel that has videos on of that. Yeah.
Yes, I have. Yeah, yeah. It's got some
Yeah.
Camino stuff on as well. But no,
Sure.
it's mainly this area because Segovia, you're familiar with it, Gordon. Segovia is very historic. It's spectacularly beautiful, but it's very intimate. There's only 50,000 people here. You can
Yeah.
park 100 yards from the aqueduct, which is 2,000 years old, see everything in 2 hours, unlike Madrid, which is this
Sure.
sprawling, massive capital city. So
Uh-huh.
Segovia is very, very beautiful. So I mainly film my village and the a walk around Segovia. Yes, that is what my channel is. Yeah.
Okay. So again, we'll put your channel details there so people can
Thank
have a
you.
look. I mean, they're
Thank
just,
you, Gordon.
you get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and you sit down and you just watch Mike take you around beautiful places in Spain.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the business done. Um, your journey in Spanish, Mike. How long have you
See,
been learning Spanish?
uh, I'm afraid to tell you about 15 years.
Don't be afraid. Never be
Yeah.
afraid.
No vas a preguntarme una pregunta en español, por favor. No.
No, 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 no. But I was just wondering, uh, what would you say if you look across those 15 years, what has been, or a generalization, the most beautiful moments that your Spanish has given you, and the most difficult, challenging moments that
Oh,
your
well,
Spanish has
Gordon, I
given
wish you'd give me a bit of notice about this. The most beautiful, there's just so many because the Spanish are such wonderful people. They're exactly like I think I grew up all those years ago in the working class north of England, where the old thing people say about the door was opened, partly because no one else had anything, and partly because you didn't have anything worth pinching. I'm just a working class guy. Let me try and think of that.
you.
I mean, I've got Spanish people just touch your lives. Um, they're also warm. I mean, I'll give you. I don't know how much I could talk to you all day about it. Right, quick story about one of my best experiences that would never have happened if I didn't. So there's a guy in the village called Emilio, who's 85, and he's very friendly. And someone told me he was a guitarist. He'd never told me that. I only knew him to say hello to. And so my family came over from Australia. Both of the children play the guitar. So I asked him if he played the guitar for them. And someone said to me, "Oh, Emilio's very famous." So he invites us to his house. We go in. There's all these pictures of him on the wall. You never guess who his best friend was. I've got proof. Picasso.
Wow.
Picasso was his best friend when he was 21 and Picasso was older. And he told me stories about Picasso. He can't speak English, which I managed to sort of fumble through. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that's super cool. When am I ever, who knows anyone that knew Picasso, the greatest painter of the 20th century? So I guess that would be a good thing. Bad thing. Oh my God. Bad thing. There was a funny, embarrassing thing where when we first bought a house in Spain, we had a translator with us who spoke perfect English, and obviously we thought was Spanish. And they came out, the phone rang. I'd been learning Spanish for 2 or 3 years, and they started speaking. I had no idea what they said. I was so disappointed. And after a couple of minutes, they put the phone down. I said to them, "Oh heck, I'm so upset. I couldn't understand you." He said, "Well, I was speaking Russian." So it was actually a Russian person living in Murcia, and it was just spoke about 6 or 7 languages. I don't know if that fulfills your question, Gordon.
Yeah,
Funny
absolutely.
stories.
It's what it's all about. The things that stick in our mind of that, well, that went really well, or
Yeah,
well, that didn't go so well.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of them, but they just laugh. They love you to try, Gordon.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
love you to try.
Can I ask you just another couple of questions on the
Sure,
logistics of El Camino?
sure. Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
do you have to book the
No, no.
the
No, you
lodging?
don't have to, but it's sometimes advisable to, especially in the summer. I mean, it's much better now. There's a lot of good apps. I think Ninja is one of the best ones, and you can book ahead at booking.com in lots of albergues. But it is busy. Yeah, it
Yeah,
can be busy. So, but in 2018, I hardly booked anything. You walk till you get tired, and then you just stop at an albergue. But it's become more busy, and
okay.
I did a bit of that at the last one, but I quite often booked ahead as well.
Just with an app then, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it's not that complicated. You don't need to be great at Spanish to ask for a room. You know,
Sure,
necesito reservar una cama para esta noche, por favor. It's quite straightforward, I think.
for sure,
People
yeah.
can memorize that.
Do the people who have the restaurants and the albergues, do they speak English, or they're primarily Spanish speaking?
It's primarily Spanish, but they nearly, especially the waiters, speak a bit. It's really nothing to be frightened of. But they
Sure.
like you to try. They like you to try. You know, it's you can learn. Another thing, Gordon, I think you'd agree with, if you're only doing the Camino once and you don't live in Spain, you can go online and look at your videos, and you can learn 10, 15 phrases that they really enjoy you saying. Que
Uh,
dias un buen día, things like that.
Absolutely.
I mean,
You know,
gracias por haberme cuidado. Things. Thank you for
thank
taking care of
you,
me.
please.
Yeah,
May I have? Can I have?
exactly. I mean,
The
I think. Hopefully, I'm going to say this right. I learned many things on the Camino, Gordon, and I think the one thing deep down in my heart is I'm going to try and tell you in Spanish. You can correct me.
okay.
No, right? Okay, I don't want to start with espero. That'll trick me with the
Oh my!
subjunctive.
Then the
Right? I don't want to
subjunctive's got to
start with that.
come.
Right. Por seguro que el amor triunfará sobre el odio. So
Nice.
if I can translate that, I hope that the Camino teaches you that love will always defeat hate. Now, Gordon, the world's messed up. You go on there for 5 weeks, it'll change you. It'll make you more happy. It'll make you more friendly, more optimistic. It's a profound experience. I recommend it to everybody. Hey, Donald Trump should do it. Do
Absolutely.
him good.
What does it do? Because you were talking about the world, I'm sure everybody's kind of looking, thinking, what the dickens is going on? But
Right.
what does it do to your belief in people and what people are?
Oh, it enhances it massively. You see good, not bad. But I think the Camino's not typical of the world, you see. Because Gordon, who's going to walk 800 kilometers, carry a great big bag, sleep in albergue with everyone farting and snoring? It's not easy. But you get used to it. You wear ear things. There's ways around it. YouTube's full of great advice. So, but it rekindles your faith in human nature, because I reckon, I don't know what the percentage of nice people in the world is. Let's say 50, but probably not quite that. On the Camino, it's like 99. That's what it seems to be. It
Yeah,
seems to filter out people, because I think selfish people who don't care about other people, who are motivated by money and not kindness, they're not going to walk 800 kilometers and carry a bag. They're not going to do that. So almost anyone does it by definition has got a big heart and an open heart.
sure. Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, Mike, thank you very much. And I know
Very welcome.
we could probably talk for hours about all of the experiences, but I think that's probably sufficient for this session. I'd
Absolutely,
like to do
Gordon.
it
Thank you.
again in the future. We can talk, and maybe you can share some more stories with us.
I've got loads of them, Gordon.
I bet you have. I bet you have. But thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
sharing this bit with us.
My
And
pleasure.
it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Okay.
And you, Gordon. God bless. Que
You
Dios te
too.
bendiga, hombre.
Igualmente, igualmente.
Gracias.